Thanks for joining us for another edition of Issues and Answers. I'm Ian Boyne. Today we talk about security. We have with us the Commissioner of Police, Mr. Owen Ellington, and we will talk to you about the strategies for containing crime. We're all concerned about this monster of crime. What is the police force doing? Is the police force equipped to deal with this major challenge? These are some of the issues we explore today on Issues and Answers. We thank you for your company. Commissioner, good to have you on the show. Yeah. Why should Jamaicans hope, Commissioner, that this year we will be able to do better in containing crime than we did last year?
Well, thanks for having me, Ian. It is an opportune time to discuss the crime situation in the country because it's actually the start of a new year, and to locate it within the context of the government's overall policy for improving security and safety in the country. Jamaica's crime problem is a very serious one. Its consequences are strategic in the sense that they impact development, public confidence, public trust, and they're really degrading the quality of life that many Jamaicans would wish to enjoy. And so what we want to do really is to just locate the current situation within the broader social policy goals of the government, which is to improve public security and justice to the point where Jamaica can be regarded as a place of choice to live, work, raise families, and carry on business by 2030. The truth of the matter is that in that regard, Jamaica's crime and security situation has been improving well beyond the projected targets.
Is that so?
Yes, certainly. But in
Seems
terms
counterintuitive, but go on.
It is true because between 2007 and now, the crime situation has improved significantly. The murder rate is about 35% of what, reduced by about 35% of what it was in 2007. Other serious crimes have been declining constantly. In fact, we have just completed 4 consecutive years of declines in major crimes. Last year, for the first time in 4 years, only murders show increases, and it increased over 2012. But it hasn't taken us back to where we were in 2011 or 2010, 2009.
But the murder rate is still unacceptably high.
It is still unacceptably high because of where we are coming from. We're coming from a situation where we had about 63 murders per 100,000 of the population in 2009. In 2012 and around the middle of 2013, we were about 40 murders per 100,000 of the population, which would have been a significant fall, but not low enough to make Jamaica the kind of safe society that we want it to be, which will then trigger a surge in public confidence, citizen confidence, investor confidence. However, the Jamaica Constabulary Force and the Ministry of National Security have set ambitious targets well beyond those which were projected in our Vision 2030 social policy goals. And that is why someone like myself is so disappointed when we complete a year and we do not see continuing declines in murders and shootings. However, our strategy is sound. We have a very clear assessment of the nature and the gravity of the problem. We have a very clear assessment of the drivers of violence in the society. We believe it's driven by gangs and organized crime. We have studied this problem on a global level. We see how other societies have dealt with it before, and we know that there are techniques, if we apply them in Jamaica in the full form that they are required to be applied, we will have the same positive effect. What we need in Jamaica is a strategic impact on the crime problem. If you have a contributor, gangs, that gives you 80% of your murders and 80% of your other serious violent crimes, then there has to be a strategic focus on gangs. And the strategic impact you want, it should be broad-based, it should be long-range, and it should result in very sharp fall in criminal activities. Pretty much like what we observed following the operations in Tivoli Gardens in 2010. 2010 was shaping up to be the most murderous year in our country, in our country's history. However, the assault by the security forces on organized crime focusing on the center of influence for organized crime, which at the time was the Tivoli Gardens gang, triggered a 40% decline in murders and other serious violent crimes because we had shaken the confidence of the criminal underworld. For the very first time in many years, it appears as if the police force, the security forces, had strong executive support. It appeared as if the police forces had very strong support from the population and from civil society. That shook the confidence of criminals. They were on the run. The police confidence was boosted. We continued those operations. Even today, we refer to them as secondary operations. And that is why we've been able to cut the crime as sharp as we did and sustain the declines. However,
I want to take a break at this point, Commissioner, because it is important for us to look at those elements and to see how we can strengthen those elements in order to deal with the crime situation. Commissioner of Police Owen Ellington speaking to us on Issues and Answers. We take a break.
Nutritious food, succulent dishes, superior workmanship, and excellent service. Jamaica is on the go. Let's grow what we eat and eat what we grow. Let's harness the indomitable spirit of our most valued resource, our people. Let's support our local businesses. After all, buying Jamaican means building Jamaica. Original.
We're talking safety and security today. The Commissioner of Police, Mr. Owen Ellington, is our guest. Mr. Ellington, you were delineating a number of strategies. So this year we can look toward some new strategies, new techniques, new initiatives in order to deal with crime.
We will see a continuation of some strategies which have been productive up to now. We will see further refinement of some of these strategies, and we will see some new strategies. For example, community-based policing is the preferred strategy of policing for Jamaica, and that is what we are mainstreaming. Community-based policing is practiced all across Jamaica, but it is regularly interrupted by the level of violence generated by gangs. And wherever gangs are active and operating, it impedes the ability of the police to deliver community policing, but it also undermines citizens' ability to interact freely with their police. And so a key element of our crime fighting strategy has got to be to degrade the capacity of criminal gangs, to defeat the gangs if we can, and to dismantle them if we can. And so you can look to see increased numbers of visible deployment of policemen in the communities interacting with the citizens. Over the Christmas holiday, we almost had a peaceful Christmas holiday. Not much has been said about it. The visibility was very high because we were able to shut down a lot of administrative and support activities. We didn't have policemen in court giving evidence, transporting prisoners, guarding prisoners, and doing a whole lot of things. So our deployable numbers was significantly increased. What we're trying to do this year is to sustain some of that level of deployment by innovation. For one, we are trying to promote the prosecution liaison officer program within the criminal justice system so that it is embraced by the courts. And if that works, what we will have is a situation where prosecution liaison officers, who are policemen, can appear in court on behalf of their colleagues who are either investigating officers or police witnesses, and convince the court that these officers are available to attend and give evidence when required, but for the time being, they are on duty. What this would do is to prevent hundreds of policemen from waiting in court for hours for an opportunity to give evidence when they could be out there protecting the public and doing more investigations. Another major strategic move which may occur this year is the merger between the police, the regular Jamaica Constabulary Force, and the Island Special Constabulary Force. If that should take place, what it would see is the fusion of 2,000 additional members from the ISCF into the JCF. We could then abandon many duplicated administrative duties, such as the manning of offices, guarding of facilities, personnel management, all of those things. And we would then convert that into deployable resources, which is our intention to put in the streets, in the communities where they belong. We have been discussing with the Ministry of National Security a strategy of purchasing somewhere in the region of 400 small motorcycles, where we can deploy out uniformed mobile patrol teams, which will be in the communities full-time, doing nothing else but interacting with citizens, protecting them, being their friends and their protectors in the community. If that should come on, we have committed to put 1,000 police officers into that program right away. And there's also another strategy which has actually started, but it will gain traction during this year, where we have secured approval from the public sector housing development programs to build a small police station in every housing scheme with over 100 houses. We have also...
Everyone?
Everyone. And there are several of those that are coming on stream right now as we speak. And we have also struck up a partnership with private developers to build a police station in a large housing complex. The Meadows of Irwin in Montego Bay is one such project which is being developed by Wicon. And they have constructed a police station which will be in there. The problem we face with protecting our population, Ian, is one that requires serious thought and less criticism. Police stations nowadays are located in places based on conditions which existed between 50 and 150 years ago. Population shifts, shifts in commercial activities, shifts in crime patterns have not been appropriately responded to by the location of appropriate police infrastructure. We do not have the mobility to reach populations where they are, and therefore there's always inadequacy in our policing of the communities. What we are doing now is to build out policing infrastructure through partnership, through additional investments by the government, and through improved police mobility. All of those are what are required to ensure that we can do what community policing is all about, which is being there in the community with the citizens to protect them. We have been preoccupied for many years focusing on the gangs, because the gangs are such high producers of violence. You can never take your eyes off them. We have built police capabilities sufficiently now that we can focus on the gangs, but at the same time we can expand our reach into the communities, into the townships, to protect the citizens.
I want us to talk more about the anti-gang strategy and the importance of the legislation which is before Parliament, as well as some other issues having to do with the police and human rights, police corruption. So we want you back next week, Commissioner. Commissioner will be back with us next week to continue to talk about the safety and security of Jamaicans, a really crucial issue. Until next week, Ian Boyne wishing you a pleasant day.